On Avon today, the Ministry of Defence cuts all of its funding from Worcester's Regimental Museum. It may be forced to close. Is time running out for the museum? The chairman of the trust has this warning for the future.
The doomsday scenario would be that the museum had to close and that all of our artefacts and all our archives would have to go into storage somewhere.
Asparagus. Evesham loves it, and so does the EU. It has protected status, but after Brexit, could it be under threat?
No one else does with asparagus what we do with it. And we make it fun, we make it quirky, we make it noticeable.
How a burglary didn't hamper a £1 million plan to expand Evesham Cinema.
And the Evesham Cookery School that is expanding for international cooks.
Good afternoon and welcome to BBC Avon Today with me, Gemma, Collis and Daniel Dunford. Our top story at midday. The Ministry of Defence is cutting its funding to the Mercian Regiment Museum in Worcester this April.
The trustees of the tourist attraction say that losing a third of its annual income could lead to a doomsday scenario where the museum is forced to close. Our correspondent, Mohammed Salim Patel, reports.
This is Hitler's clock, one of many items in this museum, celebrating Worcester's military history. But due to funding cuts, they might not be here much longer.
It's a very big hit. It costs us £58,000 a year to run this museum. The impact of £20,000 against a budget of 58 is huge. The doomsday scenario would be that the museum had to close and that all of our artefacts and all our archives would have to go into storage somewhere.
There are many significant artifacts here at the Mercian Regiment Museum in Worcester. There's 15,000 visitors to this museum a year. When the funding cuts do come into place, these artifacts could be cut off to the public.
But it would be at that time. With all the artifacts and all the things you've got on display, it'd be really quite terrible to lose that.
It's obviously an important part of the local heritage, and it'd be a shame if people stop getting access to that for free.
Colonel Jackson, in terms of the funding itself, it's £20,000 from the Ministry of Defence. Do you not think that could be used better elsewhere?
I think that's a very fair question. And the reason I say it's a very fair question is I have two sons serving in the army. And I know the financial constraints that they and their units are suffering from. But the point is, out of the billions of pounds of the defence budget, £20,000 a year for this single museum is an absolute drop in the ocean.
The clock is ticking for the museum's survival, and the hunt is on for volunteers to keep it afloat.
And Mohammed Salim Patel joins me now. Salim, what have the Ministry of Defence had to say about this?
Well done. The Ministry of Defence have released a statement in which they've said that the reason why they have to cut this funding is because of a long-term plan to reduce the help that they give to museums. They have said, however, that they would like to keep a close relationship with the museum in helping them with curating lessons, providing them with artifacts, other things that will help the museum. Now, earlier today I spoke to Mark Jackson, who we saw in that interview package, and he said that the funding itself is the key. Museums, curating lessons, all that is very good, it's very helpful, but without the funding, without the money, this museum can't continue.
So, are there any plans for the museum? What are they going to do now? Volunteers or anything?
They're looking for volunteers, but the key thing is money. Without this money, they can't continue. Even if they have volunteers, their costs, their running costs, things like that is what they need. So that's why Mark Jackson is looking for money, and that's all they're after.
Thank you very much, Salim.